Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today let's take a look at two different types of crawl space problems. A lot of work here, something that the homeowners could do themselves. The first one, as you watch that video and start to understand the excavation that was needed to solve this, the first one is a combination crawl space and a basement. This is real typical, especially as you get into a hilly climate or hilly terrain. You know, coming from Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, as you're coming through these areas, homes are built on hills, so there's a walkout basement, but there's usually a crawl space behind that walkout, which is your main living area above ground. So take a look. Maybe this will help you get some ideas of what it really takes to solve a crawl space problem.
So here's an example of a crawl space and basement combination. Behind the brick wall, there is a finished bedroom. It used to be a walkout basement, and it was a garage, and they converted that to a bedroom. Water had been seeping through the floor and just destroying all the hardwood and the baseboard, and of course even the sheetrock. And yeah, they even tried to, cut the basement floor, put in a footer tile inside, but it didn't work. And the problem is that you can see how deep the excavation, we had to remove all of this soil to get down to the exterior wall, which is still in the interior, where we could seal that footer. And I say seal, we needed to put a footer tile in. You don't need to seal a wall if it's not, underground. If it's not exposed to dirt, there's no reason to use liquid rubber. Let's take a look at the excavation. So in order to solve this problem, first we had to excavate down to the footer level, and you can see it's quite deep. Then you have to install footer pipe, which is a French drain, gravel perforated pipe. It's perforated pipe surrounded by gravel, and it has to be below the floor, at the footer level. Once that's done, a sump pump can be installed to lift that water up and send it out. Real straightforward, but huge amount of work. And these are the type of crawl spaces that usually give homeowners the most problems, but they are solvable. So if you're going to tackle this type of project yourself, you'll take a look here. We're actually coming in from the crawl space door, getting back to the basement wall, and you'll notice that it is only 18 inches, 20 inches of crawl space to get back there. What we had to do was, of course, to excavate this wall, and it's very difficult when you first start. You have to use little shovels, you put your dirt in buckets, and you take it out. Very difficult excavation. And again, people say, why didn't you do the inside floor? Well, the inside floor had already been done, not by us, but by somebody else. And it helped, but it didn't solve the problem. And basically, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, and you have to excavate. You can see once we got a trench down there, it was really a piece of cake to stand in there. Still difficult to bring gravel in and those type of things, but a very straightforward job. Once you excavate, that's the hard part. So basically remember, there's two parts to every system. There's water collection, and that's going to be our footer tile, the French drain that sits down at the footer level below the floor. Perforated pipe surrounded by gravel collects that water. As that water rises up, it enters the system, goes over to the sump pump. That's the discharge. So you have collection and discharge. Real straightforward, a lot of work, a lot of work. Let's take a look.
Back all the way out through that back wall back there. While the guys are digging down in the crawl space, I'll go ahead and core the foundation wall for the sump pump discharge. This is done with a Bosch hammer drill and a 2-inch diamond core bit. Only takes about 3 or 4 minutes to drill through that brick, and we make a nice hole. This hole is perfect for the 1.5 PVC, which is the discharge from the sump pump. That will come out, go underground, and go back in your backyard. We'll go drill one more hole through a rock retaining wall, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so you can see our discharge from the sump pump is actually coming through this stone wall. Sorry I didn't show you all the trench here, but it's basic plumbing, 1.5 pipe, comes down through underground. And you can see where it comes out of the wall. This is where we cored the wall, and we're going to hook that up to a sump pump inside. But basically that line just goes down underground. I've already covered it, but comes out, turns, and of course it's just coming through the retaining wall right here. Okay, so we're ready to set up our Zoller M53. First thing that you need is an 1.5" male threaded adapter. Threads will thread into the female discharge of the pump. We just start this in there hand tight. Doesn't have to be real tight, but always helps a little bit. Next, we've cut a piece of pipe just to bring it up out of the pit, and here we'll install our check valve. So let's go ahead and glue that up. Good amount of glue. Push and hold. This actually welds the PVC together. It melts it together, makes a permanent bond. Always close your glue up so you don't spill it. Next, we're going to install our check valve. Check valve only allows water to flow one way, and there's a little arrow on here. Probably can't see it, but it says flow. So we want to make sure that's pointing upward so that water can come up out of the pump and be pushed up through here, but no water can drop back down into the line. These come with no hub adapters, and you can see the bands on here. We use a 5/16 inch drill bit to tighten these up. So first I'll just loosen this clamp up a little bit, bring it down, and just tighten this as tight as this drill will take it. Good. We'll leave this one off so that when we go inside we can actually install the rest of it. So this pump's ready to go down into the crawl space into our sump pit. Okay, so we've got our pit installed here. We're just going to take the footer tile down right here. I would just use the pick maybe, or whatever you want, just right there. Just a kind of a little lip coming up, and then we'll drill a hole for the pipe. We'll set our pump down in the pit. Yeah, we just need to take that down just right there. That's perfect. Just scrape it back. We'll clean that trench out, make it a little bit wider. That's perfect. And then just clean that trench out and we're ready to install. Okay, so we've installed our footer tile down along the footer, and now we're backfilling with gravel. That all comes over here to the sump pump, and we'll plumb this up here in just a second. We're just sitting here loose. The reason that we're digging this down so deep is, you can see this is a crawl space. We're down inside of it, but on this wall there's a basement, and this is all finished area back here, and water had been flooding through this brick and also through wherever the pipes came through the wall. So we had to dig down to the footer and put the gravel perforated pipe all the way through, which will lead to the sump pump. We'll lift it up and send it out to the back wall. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Okay, so we've got our pit installed, our sump pump, check valve, our riser to come up, and we're now backfilling the trench with gravel. That just helps the water get into the sump pump pit a little quicker. And this is gravel by the bag, and again you can see we're down deep here inside of a crawl space. All been excavated out, and it's real hard to bring in the gravel and the other parts as well because it's so shallow up there. It's not very high. Back here, once you get in the trench, it's a little bit easier to work. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're going to be putting a sump pump in this crawl space. Kind of an unusual crawl space. We're going to show you what it looks like here. It's a real tight fit inside, and then we're going to go back and go down about 8 feet. So let's take a look. So we got Paul crawling in here, taking some tools in the sump pit, and we'll go right around all this corner here to the back.
Okay, this next video is going to teach you how to dig footer tiles. Install that footer tile in a crawl space.
Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're down in a crawl space and we're adding some more footer tiles to a previously installed job. And I don't know if you can see it there, but it's really wet. But we're just going to dig along this wall, put gravel perforated pipe in, cover it up, and we're done. So down in your crawl space, you just need what we call a sharpshooter shovel. You can see it's got a 16-inch spade on it. And this is perfect because it's just wide enough. It's just wide enough for the pipe, a little bit on each side, gravel underneath, gravel on top, and the water gets carried away. And the way you dig is the best way you can. It really doesn't matter. There's not any real secret to this. However, you can get that dirt out. You can hear me hitting the footer down there. That's where we want to be. Is right on top of or right beside the footer. You can see it goes pretty quick. And then when we're done, we just take our rake and rake this out and use the existing moisture barrier to cover it up. So once we get back to this back wall, I don't know if you can see it back there, but once we get back there, we'll bring in the pipe and the gravel and we'll go ahead and install. So it's really not as bad as it seems. Yeah, you do get wet on a day like this. There's a lot of water in the ground here and the trench is filling up very quickly. But that's what we want to see. We want to see that water. That tells us it's working. Okay, we're almost there. I like to work backwards rather than try to dig forwards. You can see I'm just working backwards towards this wall. And it goes really quick. And that should do it. Let's go back and clean out some excess that's dropping in. So you've got a good trench down to the footer. And you can see that water. Let me get the camera so you can see it. You can see that trench fills up with water because there's a lot of water in the crawl space. And if you look back on that back wall, you'll see the white stain marks. That's called efflorescence. That tells me that there's water in the block. Efflorescence is just a salt deposit, sodium deposit, and when water gets in the block, it just forces that sodium out of the cement. Not a mold, not a problem, but it doesn't really come off the wall. Okay, so we've got the trench dug. Let's go get that gravel and pipe and install this and get it done. Okay, so we're bringing the gravel back. Derek's brought most of the gravel back to the back here. Now we just got to move it in. And these are 40-pound bags. And everybody seems to laugh at us when we bring our gravel in by the bag, but it is a lot easier. It's a little bit more expensive, but you know, it works just as well. And it's a lot easier to move the gravel because it stays contained. And you can usually pick it up and throw it a few feet, then pick it up and move it again. Bring it in by the bucket. That works good. Sometimes we pour it through the vent. Just depends on the job. So you can see we brought our gravel back here by the bag. We're going to pour a little base down through the trench. Then we'll lay our pipe on top of that and more gravel to cover it up. And even though it's in a bag, you still got to be careful with it. So we've laid our first piece of pipe. Remember, we've got gravel down underneath. Now we're going to hook up our second piece. And it's really close. It's about 22 feet. These are 10-foot sections. You can hear it snap together, maybe. We've got our pipe laid down in the trench. Now let's go ahead and cover with our gravel, starting back here in the back. Doesn't take a lot of gravel, but you got to make sure that you cover it. That helps keep the soil out. And also, the water floods from the bottom up. That's why there's a little base, and then it enters the pipe. And yeah, I'm getting dirty. But you know what? That's half the fun. I think that if you don't really like your job, you shouldn't do it. And I've always liked to play in the mud. Not really. Okay, so let's get some more gravel. Okay, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. You can see we've got our gravel perforated pipe that runs all the way back to the wall. And here we're still covering with gravel. You can see where we're connecting it to down at the end down there. Derek's just pouring his bags over top of that pipe. We'll have this all covered up. We'll spread out this dirt, put the moisture barrier back. Remember, we pulled back the moisture barrier. You can see it laying here. Just pour that back over the top and we're done. Okay, so now we've got the gravel put back. We leave a small mound here. This will settle. We smashed that all down, raked it out. We've got the moisture barrier back, and you can see that the area is already drying out. Within minutes, this water has begun to flow out of here. We just need one more bag of gravel right here, and everything will get covered, and that should do it. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. So gravel by the bag, 40-pound bags, easy for the homeowner to move around in their crawl space.